And President Trump will give his State of the Union address next Tuesday. Joining us for a preview is Jeff Crouere. He is a political analyst and the host of Ringside Politics. Jeff, good to see you this morning. What are your expectations for the upcoming State of the Union?
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me. It's going to be sort of overshadowed a little bit by the government shutdown, which is going on. So, of course, there's going to be a lot of conversation about that. And then the president's going to really be setting his agenda for the year and talking about what he believes are the accomplishments to allow the Republicans to maintain the majority in the Congress. It's all about the midterms. So he'll be setting the stage, I think, for a lot of the political battles that'll be happening in the months ahead.
Yeah, indeed. He is going to be setting the agenda and the table for the midterms, which will very quickly be underway as we get into the primary season. Kitchen table issues tend to be the most important to the American electorate. So what will the president try to articulate on Tuesday in that regard?
Right. That's a good point. I mean, even though we can have a lot of success internationally, I mean, people vote their pocketbook. It's always the economy that is a paramount issue. The polls show that. So he's going to be trying to talk about the big A word, and that is affordability. And showing that the economy is moving in the right direction. So we'll talk about interest rates being low. He'll talk about how he believes, it's a much better economy than it was when Joe Biden left office. Gas prices are down, egg prices are down, certain grocery prices are down. And that's going to be it. I mean, people really will make their decision, I think, this November based on how they feel economically. And the polls show that the Republicans are in trouble on that issue right now.
Yeah, and to that point, the president will typically try to bring in special guests, and that's a long-going tradition now with State of the Unions. That list, to my knowledge, has not yet been released, but those guests tend to sort of illustrate, going back to kitchen table issues, that there are real people that are affected by these policies, and then they, have them stand up. They give them usually a standing ovation. So are there any things that you're expecting in that regard, even if you don't know who the people are, what issues that might reinforce?
Well, I mean, he normally brings on people that have maybe done heroic things, military service members, law enforcement officers, people that have, served the country admirably. He could also bring on folks that have benefited from his policies, farmers, business owners who are, moving in the right direction, growing their business. He could bring on, Americans who have sadly been damaged by illegal immigration, angel moms and dads who have, lost loved ones due to illegal immigration across the nation. So that's one of always the president's top priorities, doing something about the number of illegal immigrants in the country. That's what the ICE crackdowns are about. But the worry from some pollsters is that too much focus on that takes away from the issue that really the American people want to hear about, and that is the economy. So I think the majority of the speech, the majority of the guests will be in some way dealing with his economic policies and the benefits. We just heard the report about how the tariffs are helping with, trade with Japan and all these new projects. So I think that's going to be woven into even the guests.
And I saw this stat last week showing that over the last 10 or 20 years, the U.S. has actually net lost jobs across most industries, but that the healthcare industry has boomed so much that it's become this sort of outsized element in our society. The things that they're trying to accomplish with MAHA and the reducing of drug prices, those things don't take effect immediately. But how important, outside of course, the economy being the number one thing, can you speak a little bit to the role of healthcare and MAHA and how the Republicans have a different strategy, certainly when it comes to these subsidies, and that's something
right.
where people know that they need to reduce the cost of healthcare, but how to do it really seems to be something that has not yet come to fruition.
Right. Well, let me just agree with you. I think MAHA was the reason President Trump won. I mean, I think having RFK Jr. on his team, I think that was the key endorsement that he received that helped push him over the top. So, you know, what RFK Jr. has been doing has been so important, and he's sort of given him free rein So they've had new policies concerning vaccines, new policies concerning nutrition. All of that, I think, is going to be mentioned in the president's speech. Yeah, you have Trump RX. He's trying to bring down the cost of prescription drugs, which have been a real problem, move the manufacturing of prescription drugs to our country, which is a national security issue to have China, manufacturing our prescription drugs. And then what RFK Jr. is trying to do is to get people healthier so they don't need to be on so many prescription drugs, which I think is something that's got bipartisan support. So, yeah, I do believe that's going to be a big part of it. And let me go back to the economic issue again. I think he's going to also talk about the One Big Beautiful Bill and how, these tax cuts are going to be implemented throughout the year. And that's going to be a benefit. So he might bring on some guests or maybe folks that are getting relief from their tax on tips or their tax on Social Security or the different measures in the bill that have been beneficial to Americans.
Yes. And in this sport of politics, you always try to take credit for the good things and blame your competitors for the things that go wrong. And both parties do it. I'd like to get you to look from the perspective of the other side now. What points will the Democratic senator and former CIA analyst Alyssa Slotkin try to make in her rebuttal of the State of the Union, and speak to where Slotkin fits into what appears to be somewhat a fractured Democratic Party at this point? Sort of, I wouldn't call it an identity crisis, but new stars are rising, and you definitely have two very different factions or philosophies within the Democratic Party.
Well, now remember, she was part of that video that talked about people not having to follow, quote unquote, illegal orders. And that was a very controversial video that 6 Democrats participated in. And of course, there's been a lot of pushback from the Trump administration about that. But she was featured in there. I think she's considered a star in the Democratic Party. So it's a big slot for her to take and maybe sets her up as a potential VP candidate or something going forward. I haven't heard her name as a, presidential candidate, but maybe VP. That's a key state that she represents. And right, she maybe has got to thread the needle between the more moderate Democrats and the far left wing. The energy is really being pushed by the far left wing of the Democrat Party. And I don't think the Democrats are going to be successful in 2028 if the party is just represented by socialism. So you've got to be able to bring a coalition together, talk about more moderate issues as well. And she might be the perfect person to do that for the Democrats, since she's got an image of not being as far left as some of the others like AOC that get more of the limelight. So this is a chance for her to get some attention, and we'll see where it takes her in the Democrat Party.
Well, there'll definitely be some significant ringside politics on display on Tuesday. We're very much looking forward to it and always appreciate your analysis. Jeff Crouere, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.